Hi everyone and welcome back to Carla. In this video we're trying out a useful trick that we have seen on YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and you can join the crew on Patreon.
Well, today we're going to make some frames for the hedges. We have to make a smooth or flat surface for the hedge to seal onto, and we want to raise it a little bit up from the deck.
The hedges were originally raised using frames made out of hardwood. We want to remove those and replace them with steel. We're going to make the hole wider and weld in steel frames that we're making here today.
And to do that, we've chosen this angle iron. It's 50 millimeters and 50 millimeters, and then it's 5 millimeters thick, the same as the hull on Carla. We're going to bend it. We've seen a very clever trick on, I think, Facebook, YouTube, something, where you can bend it. You cut out a piece and then you bend it around. So we're going to try that today. We're going to do it. We've seen it done with much thinner angle iron. Now we are up in 5 millimeters. We might need some heat. Let's see how it goes.
Did you get enough?
Yep. Well, we've seen this trick on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Somewhere. I don't know where. But I've seen this trick, and now I found it again, and we just copied the numbers in it. There is some kind of formula for this, if you have a look. We're going to cut away this. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there it is. We're going to cut away the one with the cross on it, leave the bend, and then we'll bend the whole thing around, and it should match up perfectly to this side, and we're going to have a smooth, round outside of the angle iron. This is the thickness. We used the compass to make the round, doing the thickness of the width of the angle iron minus the thickness of the material itself, and made a round, a curve. Yeah. So that's how we measured that one. This one, there is a formula for it. I don't remember it, but luckily it was the same as in the video I just watched. So we just used the same number, and then we're going to cut it. So
Let's cut.
Let's bring out the angle grinder. Angle grinder.
As always, when you start something new that you haven't tried before, you're going to have a few startup troubles, and you kind of have to learn by doing. Because of the sharp angles, this cut is quite hard to do with an angle grinder. We thought about using the plasma cutter, but decided not to because of the cleanup work needed after. To make these frames the way that we did, using 5mm angle iron, we were honestly a bit worried about whether we could bend it without using heat. So the plan was to try heating the metal, and that meant Klaus got to pull out one of his favorite workshop toys, this old school petroleum burner. You fill it with fuel, pump it up with air to pressurize it, and then basically you've got yourself a vintage flamethrower. It's fun to use, but not exactly the most effective tool. Still, we had to give it a shot.
Yep. Now we just have to wait until the ethanol flames out.
We got this burner at a market about 10 years ago, and it's definitely one of Klaus's favorite tools. He simply couldn't help himself, and he just had to try it out, even though it's not nearly hot enough to heat up the metal properly.
Just need the flame to go out. When the last alcohol or ethanol is burned out, it should get a better flame.
To make this bend, using this technique, it's very important that your cut is precise, and we had to adjust the measurements a little to get a nice looking corner. The fact that we are using heat to make the metal more pliable makes making these adjustments harder, because you aren't able to touch the metal without getting burned, and you are always in a fight against the clock because the metal cools down too quickly. Even though we had some startup problems, we actually got a nice looking bend in the end. So that just goes to show that you should just get on with it and give it a try. Not too bad. Could be worse.
Could be worse, definitely.
For a first try, that's
okay.
I'm guessing that's great.
The thing I like about this, but look at it. Look at how the shape.
Yeah, it's kind of bending in. I can see that.
No, we don't want that.
No.
That's because we've been stretching it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to stretch it to bend it.
We've been stretching it this way.
Mm.
This one was too big, and when I tried to hammer it in, we were stretching the outside. That's why it's
curved.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to somehow get a better fit.
Yeah. First of all, we have to leave more room.
Yeah.
The inner circle has to be smaller. Leave some more room.
Yeah.
We have to cut away now, anyways, because we can't weld this.
No.
We'll have to cut into it, and so it might as well be smaller.
Yeah.
And we have to get another burner.
Another burner. That's a little.
That was just a test, and because I think it's funny. But we have to get another burner so we can heat it properly.
Properly, yeah.
Yeah. And then cut this smaller, and then we have to find out some way to fix this. That's not on the table, that moves.
Yeah, everything is a little low tech at the moment. It was just a test run.
Yeah.
Well, one good thing about this is that practice makes perfect, and having to make 4 of these frames with 16 bends all in all gives us plenty of opportunity to fine-tune our technique and end up with the best and most efficient way to get the job done. Right?
Yeah, but I still think this is too big.
You still think it's too big?
Yeah, it looks like it.
But you made it smaller now. Let's
I know.
Let's give it a go and see how. This time we're using the propane-fired wheat burner to heat up the metal. It has a much bigger flame and it is a lot easier to use. That is awesome.
Yeah. Awesome.
Let's do 25 more times then.
Yeah.
This is really one of our favorite projects on the boat so far. The idea of using this technique to make the hatch frames is our own from start to finish, and it is very satisfying to be able to turn an idea into something usable. And the fact that we are doing it together only makes it that much more enjoyable.
Well, now we have to straighten up the whole frame. It's a bit diamond shaped right now, and we want to get perfectly square corners on the inside anyways. So I set up this rig. Now we're going to put in a wedge, and this will push from here to here, which will push these two corners together and these two apart, and then slowly we can get it to the right shape and weld it back together.
As you can see, Klaus has the solution for everything. If we didn't have him, this project would be a non-starter for sure. He just says, oh, wait a minute, I'll rig something up, and he finds a couple of wedges and starts hammering away, and I'm just standing there in awe, and it takes like 5 minutes, and then he's problem solved, the thing's straight, and you can get on with the welding. It's just amazing how his brain works sometimes.
2
and 72.
Yeah,
wow.
72.
Nice.
Oh.
That was lucky.
No.
No. Excellent.
Wasn't lucky.
No such thing as luck.
Oh.
Ooh.
Have a look. Have a look. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That's nice.
Moment of truth.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. You might not even need the corner. Oh, there might be a little in the corner.
Yeah. I will have to. You just have to turn it around and see how it fits from the other side as well, of course.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah. When we get this all welded up,
this is gonna
smooth
work.
the corners a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna look nice, I think.
Weld it into the deck around here. It's gonna be beautiful.
It's exactly what we want.
And then we can. With a couple of millimeters of space around, I think this is perfect. Of course, we'll have to weld in some kind of a corner so that we fill it completely.
Yeah.
But look at that.
That is nice looking. I like it. Smile. And now the welding begins. Even though this is quite a small object, the amount of welding needed is impressive. Here, Klaus is using the angle grinder to make a groove so that we can get a proper penetrating weld. And for the first time during this project, I get to wield the welder. I have welded before, but it has been a while, so I had to get back in the groove. 18 years ago, Klaus and I met at a maritime school. At this school they train you in all the basics, such as welding, knot tying and other ship-related skills, many of which are usable to get through a project like this. It's not often I get to work with Klaus and Carla, because I have to go to work and I have other obligations as well. So it's really nice to find new ways to feel useful in a huge project like this. Hi everyone! I just wanted to take a quick minute and go back to our last video, safety versus budget. We asked you guys so many questions and wow, did we get a lot of answers. So thank you so much for that. We asked about the size of windows and what to do about the thruster and all these things, and you gave us, our brains is about to explode. But other than that, we also have another piece of big news, which is we have gotten our very first patron, and his name is Craig Wilson, and we are just so thrilled and happy that he wanted to join the crew. So thank you so much for that, Craig. And now back to Klaus in the video. Now with the first frame finished, I unfortunately had to go back to work, and Klaus had to finish the last 3 on his own. But with most of the startup difficulties over with, that was no problem.
Well, I stopped heating the metal when bending it, because it turns out the only thing the heat ever did here was give me somewhere to burn my fingers. So it turns out the nozzle on the wheat burner is too big. It's not focusing the flame enough, so it has a hard time trying to heat up the metal to a point where it actually helps us in the bending process. So I just tried it without. I've done 2 bends now, and it's the same. It's the same. I just don't have anywhere to burn my fingers now. So now I'm not in a hurry to get the bend done before it runs cold again or anything. I can take my time doing it, and it actually turns out a bit nicer. Because I can also just remove a little bit with the grinder if I need to or anything. So yeah, let's bend this one and see how it goes.
Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. I just figured you might want to watch the last part without me constantly jumping in and talking your ear off. But in just 1 minute, something's coming up. Now, Klaus might not agree with me on this, but I really felt like it had to be in the video. It's such a perfect snapshot of who he is. He's singing and he's just completely enjoying himself while working on these window frames. This is one of those little moments that says so much more than words can ever do. So enjoy.
Endless in Hoover Lane, building castles in the sand. Da, 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 da. Me and the boys in the band.
This whole process of making the window frames has been amazing. We've learned so much along the way, and honestly, the challenges that come up can really take over your thoughts. You end up worrying about everything. Klaus and I have spent countless hours talking through how to fix these frames and hatches to avoid the rot and the rust that damaged the ceiling before. But what we realized is that sometimes you just have to dive in. We were seriously stressed out about whether we could even bend 5mm steel. Like, is that even doable without special tools? But once we got started, things began to fall into place. This project has really taught us that it is not as scary as it seems to just start doing. And even if you don't have all the answers, the lessons we're definitely taking with us through the rest of this restoration. And hey, if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. Whether you think we're totally off track or you like what we're doing, don't hesitate to leave a comment. We read as many as we can and try to reply to. It's honestly such a fun part of this journey. Being connected to a community that shares tips, encouragement, and ideas, we definitely couldn't do it alone. So thank you very much for that, and keep it coming. By using angle iron and bending them in the corners like we have, it leaves this little triangle piece. Because the hatches are rounded and the angle is 90 degrees, we need to fill in that hole. To do that, Klaus used some of the leftover angle iron and cut out small pieces so that could fit in the corners, and welded them in. He made a cardboard cutout that he could use after welding in the small metal pieces. This was so he could hold it up against the hatch and grind down the little triangle until it fit perfectly. And as you can see, it turned out quite nicely.
Well, we did it. Just need to weld it in properly and then round off the corners. But look at that.
The project is almost there, with Klaus adding the final touches to make everything look perfect. As the video nears its end, don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching the process, and make sure to subscribe for more. And if you want to support us and join the crew, head over to our Patreon page. We'll love to have you on the board. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.